Okay, we are live with the bonus content here, even though Holly hates the word content. But this is bonus content, so that makes it okay, right?
Sure, it's bonus.
All right. So we were just going off on our own about gear and stuff. So what was the last thing you were about to say?
Couple of things. One is that I just love collecting gear. I feel like it's a part of me, like a part of my identity. It's just like buying, and I feel like I'm developing this whole like production agency full of my own gear, but it's just for me. But yeah, one of the things we were talking about was, changing gear over the years. Like I started as a Canon person when it came to photography and videography, and I haven't touched it since I transitioned to Sony.
Yeah.
And
That's so funny. We both made the same transition. Yeah.
I think everyone did. If you're following YouTubers, everyone made the transition around the same time. And it was like somewhat during the pandemic or like 2021 or something like that. I bought the A7S III and I'm totally in love with it. It's like my dream camera. But the pack rat that I am that loves gear has my Canon 60D and 70D and maybe 80D. I have them all in a closet with all of my Canon lenses.
Wow.
And, I haven't touched any of them since I got the Sony, and I haven't touched any of them since the iPhone has honestly gotten so much better. And I once went to a camera shop. I brought all this gear. I had the desire to sell it. And then when they told me what it was all worth, I was like, maybe I should just keep it as a backup camera.
Really?
Everything, like our beautiful, like $1,000 lenses are worth like $20. The Canon 60D, which I paid $800 for, is worth $40. So I was maybe you just keep it as like,
keepsake or something.
A keepsake / B-roll extra random camera. But I'll tell you this, I haven't used it, even though I came to the conclusion that maybe I'll use it as a B-roll camera. And this week specifically, I said, you know what? I'm done with holding on to it. I'm going to let go. I'm going to go to the store.
So you collected your $73 out of $5,000 of equipment, and
I haven't gone yet. And here's why I'm going to make the decision to do this. I'm not going to sell it for money. I'm going to trade it in and upgrade my own stuff. So I'm going to get a better lens, because some of the camera stores make that deal. They'll give you more money if you spend it with them, like B&H. B&H Photo does this. My local camera shop does this. If you want to spend it at their shop, you get more money instead of just expecting the cash back. So that is what I'm going to do.
That is the tip of the day.
Good.
I wasn't aware of that. So yeah, maybe I will, because I have a few old Canon lenses. They're good lenses. They're fine.
Right? Mine too. They're like brand new. I don't want to trade
it in for like $20. I spent hundreds of dollars. So it's like
same.
I'll trade it in and get some new Sony lenses or something.
So let's report back to each other on that. Because I think it's important. You know what? Like time is only moving forward. Gear is only getting better. Yeah. And you got to make room for the new stuff that you're excited to use.
Right. And I really liked some of those old Canon lenses. I have this one macro lens that was just like, it just shot beautiful stuff. But I have an adapter. I could use it with my Sony, but there's no autofocus. So I'd have to be very...
You got the Bones adapter?
Oh, I don't know. Is that what it's called? The Bones adapter?
I think it's called Bones adapter. And I did hear that it doesn't autofocus. And I'm like, that is like the number one thing that I have like adopted, is like the Sony's autofocus being so fast and amazing.
Yeah.
Can't go backwards.
Right. Yeah. I have a Sony A7C, by the way. That's what I'm filming this on.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. You could probably do that with yours as well.
I looked it up on YouTube before, because you were like, oh, make sure you have a good camera. And I wanted to set it up, but I didn't wouldn't you have to, do you have it like mounted onto your monitor?
No, I have it. I have this cool tripod that I built into the back of my desk. They're not tripod, but it's like a monopod. So it attaches to the back. I have two of them.
You'll have to do a video on it.
Oh yeah, totally. I should.
Do your studio setup.
Yeah. No, that in itself, if I do a whole studio setup, I'm like, here's the thing. I would probably go all out with that video, but I don't want to go all out. And then remember how I said earlier about I might spend a week on a video and then it only gets like a few views. It's like this very...
Yeah, but like...
I almost want to wait until I have solid enough audience. Yeah, but I know that's the wrong mentality. I should be thinking, don't spend forever on it, but just put it out. And guess what? I can always do a part 2 of it.
I was just going to say that.
With updates.
What if you did do a messy first version of it, put it out there for the people who want to know, like me right now, who want to know what that tripod is. So I could buy it for myself. You're keeping me from that setup right now
Yeah.
by not sharing that information. And
Right.
that's it, you know, like,
I'm being selfish. I'm being selfish.
just put out another video down the road that's the exact same video, but the way you want to do it, or improve on it over time. You could never say the same enough because it
Sure.
takes a long time to
Sure.
seep in, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I
So
think.
at some point earlier, I think I was saying to you, I don't know if this was before we started recording the extras here, but like it's good for me to script. Oh, we're talking about the teleprompters. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So I think I am getting better at the delivery. So so I got the Elgato teleprompter. Did you hear about that one? Because
Cool.
that was all the buzz like about 6 months ago. So they just came out with it, and then everybody was like raving about it. It was on wait list. Like I got it. I had to wait a while.
Since I got the cheapy one, I was like, I'm just going to stick with what I have.
Sure. Good for you for not just overindulging and spending on something you don't need. But I'm really glad I got this one. It works pretty well. Only problem is like I only have 2 lenses that I use. I have the kit lens, which is what I'm shooting on now because it can get a wider shot. But I bought this like nice Samyang lens, but that's what I use for my YouTube videos, but I can sit farther away from it. There's no zoom, or it's just like a fixed length focus, whatever.
Right.
But the teleprompter attaches onto that lens.
Right. Yeah, show me, and we'll show and tell here too.
Show and tell here. So this is my teleprompter. This is the Elgato.
All right. Yeah, it looks kind of like mine, only bigger and nicer.
Yeah. So
and it's got you don't have to use your phone like I do.
It's built so it just plugs in via USB-C to my Mac. It uses the software, and then the lens just sits on the lens like that. So I'm looking at it here and I read it. The cool thing is they just updated the software, and we're going to get onto the subject of AI here in a second, but like they have this AI thing now where it will listen to you as you're speaking, and it will scroll the text based on what words you're saying. It couldn't do that for the last 6 months. So I was basically, you have to set the pace, and it just scrolls at the same pace. But that's not good if you want to sound natural, because you're like, you have to be saying at the same pace. You cannot go faster or lower. But now I can be like, and it stops scrolling. As soon as it knows I read to a certain point, it jumps up to the next bit. So now just in the last video, my delivery is already starting to get even more natural, because it's like, I can just speak naturally and it will follow along with me. So that's cool.
That's mind blowing. And so that's the Elgato.
Yes. The Elgato teleprompter.
Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I do have links in all my videos too. So you should be
you should have affiliate links.
They're affiliate links.
They're affiliate links. Great.
I set it up with Amazon. I haven't set it up with B&H yet. I should do that. But most everything is pretty available on Amazon. But yeah, back to the point of I have the monopod, so the camera is mounted on the monopod behind the desk.
What kind of monopod?
I bought, I don't know if I put the link in my description. I'll look it up for it later, and I'll start putting it in my descriptions because I forgot about it. It is a good product. It latches on the back of your desk. Yeah. So I have that one behind this computer, and I have one behind my Mac Studio.
Cool. Let me see. Become like a gear show and tell. Because that's like a whole.
Because like my channel is not really about gear and stuff, but I could easily see it going there. But it's all inclusive, though. It's all related. It's create.
I'm surprised you're not. Yeah, like this.
Well, here's the thing: because I'm starting out this channel, I'm trying to get a balance of content. Like my first couple of videos were like habits apps. So my first video, well, that's not true. My first video was an introduction to Midjourney.
Wow. Okay.
And I still want to ask you about.
We'll talk about AI stuff. Yeah.
But like, that was my first video, and that again wasn't really scripted. And it took me. It's over like an hour. It's a long video. It is pretty in depth. It takes you start to finish, but it's like an hour and a half or 2 hours. Then my next video was like, I've reviewed a bunch of habit apps for Mac stuff, and I'm like, I gave a pick of what I thought were the best. Then I did in-depth reviews of some of those habit apps. So that's how I started out. Like it was very like productivity centric. But then I started doing like, I have a series called Problem Solved, where I literally just solve a specific problem. So like the Dropbox issues, or like, YouTube chapters not showing up or whatever. So it's become more a little bit, now it's like the trackpad and set app and better touch tool. So what I'm realizing is it's very Apple centric, of course, like we talked about earlier. There's nothing much for PC people here. But if you use Photoshop, like I did do a one Photoshop tips and tricks thing, so there's some stuff that anybody could use, like PC users as well. But really, I'm trying to get it to enough videos where there's a balance, because my whole thing in my channel trailer, again, trying to live up to what you're delivering, like the promises.
Yes.
I say, come here for Photoshop, stick around, learn Illustrator, learn Premiere, learn Apple stuff, learn tips and tricks, learn about a trackpad. So, you know what I mean? But I haven't made all the content yet. So it's like, it's in the works, but it's taking me time to make it all. But eventually I will get there where it'll be like, oh, that's what I want to make this. I want to make this the ultimate channel. Like I sort of want to be the next generation, like the next MKBHD, where I'm like, except he's just the standard tech YouTuber guy. Like he's not like, he doesn't do those animations himself. He hires a team but
right. You're going to end up making them all yourself. Of course, your own style. Right.
So I'm like, that's when I realized about a year or two ago, like, this is what I should be doing. I should pour myself into this completely because I have this skill set.
One thing that also just popped up for me is, I'm sure you have an archive from the last decade of doing all of this stuff. Like maybe there's a world in which you pull stuff in that you've already created so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. I don't know what that means exactly, but graphically, like, I don't know, just pulling thing. I'm trying to make it easy on you for like, there's a lot here.
Yeah. Well, I did make, and this is another thing I was curious to ask you about. Because I made a bunch of animations for Adobe Stock. Did you do that over the years?
What, use Adobe Stock?
No, like sell your stuff.
I've never sold my stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Is it worth it?
I mean, I've made clips, like animations, like stuff, like they're just fun to just make. And then like kind of stuff that you've made before and you posted on Instagram, like just animated lines and shapes. I know you did that one series back in, was it like 2020 where you posted one every day?
Every day. Yeah. Oh, so, you remember that?
Yeah. And they were good. And I'm like, you could just make those into stock animations, post them for sale on Adobe Stock.
Interesting.
You're not going to get rich off of it, but I've probably made a few grand off of it. So
let me sidebar that conversation by saying that everyday practice that I had, I lasted for 165 days. I didn't really know how long I was trying to go for, but I managed 165 days. Most of the time I did not like the work that I was posting, and that was part of the challenge. I set my
to defeat the perfectionism, right? Like
yes,
to let go.
Yes, to let go. And also just to give myself a personal project, because at the time I was just worried about getting client projects that would pay me, but I wasn't spending time making the art and being the artist that I declared to the world that like, now I'm an artist. I'm like leaning into that, but I wasn't making any new art. So I said, all right, I'm going to do a daily practice. It's called like making garbage art, and like lowering the bar and saying that I only have, I think it was like an hour to do with whatever I had at hand. So like grabbing stuff that's dying on my hard drive and pulling it in, stuff like that. It was kind of like what you were doing with introversion, daily practice, right?
Force yourself, do something daily. You'd be surprised what you could do.
But the cool part of this story is that, even though I didn't feel like I loved what I was posting, it really did gain traction. A lot of people were following me because of that. After I finished that 165 days, I was invited to do an art show called the Satellite Art Fair during Miami Art Week, where they wanted me to do an installation. And all I had to pull from was the garbage art. So I took like, I don't know, maybe like the 15 best things that I created from that 165 experiments. I put them all together, stitched them together in a 20-minute piece, and then that became my first installation. Fast forward.
Because you didn't have time to create like new stuff from scratch, right?
Yeah. Right. So the daily reps of doing something like actually amounted to a full art piece. That full art piece became my first solo exhibit at a museum here. And then just like 2 weeks ago, I just sold that 20-minute art piece for $25,000 to my first collector.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it like now all of a sudden that little garbage art thing becomes like a collection And like that's the direction that I want to keep going with my work. So it's like more than just like a little experiment on Adobe Stock. I want to raise the bar to like saying this is like high art in like the immersive world.
Interesting. So
Right.
So even though I'm making it known to you about Adobe Stock, you kind of knew about it, but you still don't really want to do it because it's like you'd rather elevate your art to be like this high art thing that could be in galleries, as opposed to cheapening it as like commercial stock kind of thing.
I mean, I think that there's definitely like maybe all like the 100 other videos that I didn't put into my artwork, maybe the ones that I can like let go of a little bit more easily. I wouldn't mind if they were just out there. But for certain pieces, I think that there's value in having a limited
exclusivity.
Edition,
yeah, exactly.
Right. So and I thought it was so special to like have a collector that now owns this piece. They can like really, they can claim ownership in the way that you could claim ownership of a painting and have that for themselves. It's definitely a new area for me as a video person because it's not a painting. It's not a physical object. But
I wasn't even aware you could do that, like sell a video art piece. That's a major win though. That's a lovely thing to discover and
absolutely
achieve.
And now that I know that that's possible at that level, like that's where I want to keep jumping off from. And so Adobe Stock, like I think I am a member to it, and I definitely use that kind of stuff for my commercial work, you know, like borrowing it from it. And I have subscriptions to things like ArtGrid and Envato Elements, just to have variety of like stock and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I do have a block against putting my work out there because I feel like, I don't know, maybe I could put it in a different direction. I don't know. That's something to think about.
Yeah, definitely something to think about. I was going to have a conversation with you at some point about this because I saw that I wanted to ask you about, because you started to try to use Vimeo for a minute there. And you were trying to make like a store to sell you were trying to make it like a product, right? Like
I did.
Okay. How did that happen and how'd that go? Like, did that work? Are you still doing that?
Putting my focus on it right now, but I think it's still up there. So during the pandemic, when again, like no work coming in, I was doing the live stream shows, doing like a VJ DJ set, you know, like a live music and video performance from my studio. So bringing people into the studio, and I wanted to offer them something that could just brighten, you know, the dreariness of like everything that was going on at the time. So I took a lot of that work that actually all stems from that garbage art. I took more work from that collection of
that garbage art is paying so much dividends for you.
And that's what I'm telling you. You've got how many, you know, years of your own awesome, like you already said earlier that your Instagram, look at my stuff. It's so good.
Yeah.
You put that in the right hands and it can grow into places that you wouldn't expect. So I just made sequences out of that garbage art, just other sequences. And I said, this one is for focus. So like you're trying to get some work done.
Yeah. I remember they were like thematic. Yeah.
One was for relaxation. I put all the slower, moody stuff together. And then one was like high energy. You want to have a dance party in your living room. You put this on.
Yeah.
And so I sold those packages for like $25 off of Vimeo. And you could only play it through Vimeo. So there was a little bit of a, like, you don't really own it. You're like licensing it, I guess, but you only pay $25 once, and then you have access to it through Vimeo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they don't actually download the QuickTimes or anything like.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So I'll reserve that for the collectors, you know.
Did you offer that though as like another option? Like at the time, like you could stream it for Vimeo for $25, or if you want to purchase it, it would be $500 for this set or whatever. Did you?
I didn't offer it. I think I just put like a little clarification on the bottom that if you want to use this for commercial purposes, to get in touch with me, because I was really just using it as like a personal product, that you would just have in your home for your family.
Right. Yeah. I remember as you were doing that, I don't remember if we talked about it just in our intermittent chats here and there over the years, but
yeah,
I got motionrapture.com, and Motion Rapture is what I've been using for my Adobe Stock. I haven't done anything with the website yet, but that is my username on Adobe Stock where I'm selling my stock clips, is Motion Rapture.
So cool.
So eventually, and I had this idea like before I saw you starting to do that, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's what I wanted to do with Motion Rapture. It's funny because
Wow.
we were both thinking the same thing, of course. But like I wanted to do like because I kept thinking about like every home now has a plasma or LCD TV, big screen TVs. And like it's in your living room, it's part of your home. Why does it have to be showing some TV garbage? Why not have it be beautiful
Exactly.
art as you're eating dinner over here? So that was my intention when I got motionrapture.com is I wanted to build a brand around that where it would
Interesting.
sell and distribute. So maybe I'll get it going at some point. Maybe. I mean, you know, this is the thing. All
So
these
many ideas, so many
ideas.
different directions to go in. And you know what? You just got to throw spaghetti at the wall. You know what I mean? Like I made like $1,000 doing that, that little experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Did I put a lot of effort into it? Yeah, I guess I did, editing
Yeah.
it, whatnot. Mm, I don't know. Maybe it'll turn into something else down the road. I really don't know. It's really just experimenting. And a lot of people were grateful during that time. Again, yeah, to turn your
Yeah.
television into a piece of artwork and
Yeah.
something that actually was focusing on your mood and how you felt, you know, during a time when everybody was like going crazy.
Like, I don't know. Maybe we collaborate at some point
Mhm.
on that project because we're in the same headspace about it. Like, we both had the same idea. Like,
Yeah.
why not? We're both two video artists with different styles. Like, we could combine it
Interesting.
under one brand and, like, you know, have like, maybe we set it up as a thing where it's curated and we invite a couple other video artist friends that we like. And it just becomes this thing, you know? And
I've
it's
always
like,
thought about doing that.
yeah. So
Okay, so let's keep talking about it.
yeah. Let's bookmark that, mentally bookmark that for later.
I
So,
love it. There are other companies to research that are doing that, but I think that this would be something different.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of like a site, like or product or design, like it's made by artists, like for artists. Like, are you familiar with like You Work for Them?
Yes.
Okay, so they're like old school. I think it was like Mike Cena and all those guys. Like they started it way back in the day. But like my next video that I've already filmed, I have to edit it maybe this weekend, but maybe early next week. It's web browsing tips. I figured something out that can save a lot of time as you're saving stuff online on websites. But like, so, but I went through You Work for Them. I was on the site just shopping for fonts.
Yeah,
So
that's where I go too.
so you'll see in my next video, like I feature You Work for Them, but it's like I'm sharing tips on how to save content and stuff. But anyway, that's You Work for Them. But yeah, they have cool stuff. It's always just like good. At some point, because like I started to design a font like a couple months ago, and it's pretty cool. And I just about finished it, but I gotta like prepare it as a product. Like I just set up a store. I have a store on my gkaslo.com site right now.
Like Squarespace or something, or
No. I built it myself, like in WordPress, like my own website.
wow.
And there's a store there, but then I also created after that, I created a Gumroad shop. You're familiar with Gumroad? So now I have a Gumroad shop. I haven't told anybody about it yet, but I'm like, this is much easier to maintain. Plus, it has a built-in like mailing list feature. So if people buy your products, they're automatically on your mailing list. And it's because I buy fonts from this one guy who I found off Behance, and he sells his through Gumroad or Gumroad, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So he just sends out an email. I get his emails every time he releases a new font, and he has good stuff. So I look at it and I'm like, that one looks good too. I might buy that one too. But like, it's good. Like, it's a good little simple platform. I might start utilizing it more. But do you use
what's that?
Do you use Behance much?
I have stuff on there from my corporate days, but I don't actively use it. Is it worth using?
I don't think so. Because like I haven't used it in a while. I started to post some stuff. I posted my channel trailer on there, right? The Wes Anderson thing.
Yeah, put it everywhere.
It got like 5 views.
Yeah.
I'm like,
don't worry about it.
So now it's like, I have like 200 plus whatever followers on there. It's like, it's nobody, I don't know if it's their algorithm or now they introduce like Behance Pro. So you got to pay for it in order for your stuff to get seen. And it's like, here we go again.
There's too many things, too many different directions to go in. So, but what I was going to say is just hearing you talk about all the many different ideas and you're like worried that there's too many ideas. They're not, because you're building this brand, right? I think it's so interesting to have your own signature font, you know, and it's just going to take time. You're just going to do what you can do in a year.
Yeah.
It's constantly building towards this one goal. So that's all relevant. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. No, yeah. No, I feel good. Like overall, I feel like I'm heading in a focused direction.
Sounds
And
like it.
like I said earlier, like I'm getting better about not just winning the day, but like how does this fit into the bigger picture where I'm going? And I like where I'm headed. It's all good. So yeah, this podcast is just going to be another component of the
Yes,
whole brand. So, and I
absolutely.
think this is going to be a good opportunity because like there's a couple of people I already reached out to. Some of them have like 20,000 followers or this subscribers, and so they're bigger, more established. And I feel like there's like a market of people out there who are pretty good, like YouTuber content creators. They might only have 5,000 subscribers or 10,000 or 20,000, but like they're very coherent. They have a sense of style. They have a good voice. Like their quality. It's just they don't have a million or whatever people, and they don't make enough living off of enough views on their videos on YouTube. But I'm like, they have somewhat of an audience. I was like, there's people out there who are interested, and I'm just going to invite all these people to come on the podcast.
Totally.
It's also a good way of like, because I've thought this leads into a little bit of an adjacent topic. This is great for the extra bonus content part.
For
Because
sure.
I'm like, I think about like socially and how a lot of things broke 2020 afterward, the isolation and just all of this stuff. And like in a lot of ways, certain things just haven't recovered.
Understood.
But I'm like, I want to connect with people, but now, I live in Philly now, and I'm not even sure that Philly is really the right place for me. I miss New York, but it's New York. Everything is too expensive now. Inflation is so bad. I can't go back to living in New York. I said it after I left. Like, I won't go back to New York unless I'm like bawling, like I'm just making 7 figures or something. So that I like for Philly at the cost of living, but I'm like, I'm not meeting. I can meet people here, but I'm not meeting like interesting people.
Okay.
Like I met this one girl here early on, like 2019 when I first moved here. And I met her at this like networking event that this other girl I was dating at the time, she brought me to this event. And I ended up breaking up with the girlfriend like a week later, but I'm glad she brought me to this event because I met this other girl, and not for dating or whatever, because she was seeing somebody at the time and like we're friends, but like she's like the coolest person I've met in Philly. And the problem is in the pandemic, she left Philly and she totally killed it. This is totally like her. She just went to Mexico and she hung out with a bunch of cool people and they had a great time. And she came back to Philly and we hung out once, like a couple months ago. She told me all about it. And she's like, yeah, 2020 was great. It was just a bunch of us creative people just hanging out, living up life in Mexico. It was awesome. And I was like, man, I had a shitty nothing life here. And she just moved to Austin. But
Wow.
thing is, she met her now husband down in Mexico. And
during that time.
yeah, but like the thing is, I'm like, my point is like, other than her, I haven't met creative, cool people in Philly. So I'm like, again, I don't know if this was the right place for me or whatever, but like the thing is where I'm focusing now is like online. I mean, most things happen online nowadays anyways, but I'm like, if I build this brand, if people start to know me and I'm like, oh, you're the Jay Kaslo. Oh, I love your channel, blah, blah, blah. Like my goal is in the next couple of years, like I want to be getting invited to speak at Adobe, you know, like I want to be like the guy who's like, oh yeah, you're the content creator. You're the tutorial guy. You're creating your own original content.
I want the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that it just means that we have to keep doing what we're doing and show our passion for what it is that we're doing. And that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I like the podcast as another method for connecting with specific individuals. Not everybody, but like that guy. I like his voice, or she's cool, or like I like what he's doing, you know, and just, you know, specific. But that's to me the future of my social circle, which is, I mean, in a way, like, I mean, I know you and I haven't talked in like 15 years or whatever, but like how we met and know each other is like totally random, however it was.
Because of your website.
Yeah. So it's like, but that's more of what I want. I want to connect with the exceptional people like we were talking about earlier. Like,
yeah.
Because I'm like, in Philly, yeah, there's a bunch of normies here. And it's like,
how long have you been there?
It feels like it's crazy. I moved here in start of 2019, end of 2018. So it's been like 5 years.
That's a long enough time to know if you fit there.
Yeah.
You know,
it's the thing is I'm comfortable here. Like I have a nice workspace, a nice apartment. My gym's right down the street. So I'm kind of set. I have a couple friends. Like it's decent. they don't really get me. We're not on the same wavelength, but I just feel like, again, back to the simple joys in life. Like, I love having this conversation with you now. I'm so glad we got to connect.
Yeah, me too.
And I love geeking out about tech and nerding out about this and that. But it's like, I just don't get that anymore. But in person or even online. But now I'm starting to create these avenues.
You got to create it for yourself.
Yeah. And I'm glad that I'm starting to do this more now. And I'm going to continue to do this more online and podcasting and all this stuff. So this is the way forward for me, I feel like.
One thing that made me think of is, I was starting to tell you the story of like in 2016, I was working at my day job and kind of craving more. And I found this studio that I'm in right now, which is just my regular studio. But back in 2016, I said, you know what? I really want to show my work in galleries and museums, but I don't have any of those connections. I really want to meet creative people. I don't really know any creative people around here. I have to drive to New York City from Stamford like an hour just to have any kind of inspiration or nightlife or creativity in my life. And then when I got this space, I was like, you know what? I'm going to plant the flag here. I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to
bring them here.
I'm going to invite people into the space. I'm going to say, hey, I'm here. This is what I do. And like that cultivated a huge part of my network and community that I still have now, even though I don't have the doors open as a gallery, because that wasn't really exactly the right fit for me. But I just realized that like you have to start it yourself. So like starting a meetup group or something like that, you got to just like make it happen for yourself if you want to start meeting those people and attracting that. Yeah. And maybe it starts out small. I think my group started out with, 3 people, 6 people, and then it just kind of doubled and doubled, and people bring their friends in. It might be something worth trying, because I do feel like if you don't have it and you want it, you got to build it.
Yeah. I think that's the distinction for me to make, though. It's not necessarily me trying to build it in Philly. Because it's like Philly, I feel like is like temporary. Like people like that girl, Nicole, like they come through this place and they go to, she's like, yeah, because she was frustrated with living here and the friends and people around her. And they judged her and they thought she was crazy during the pandemic for like leaving and going to Mexico. And she went and did, she went and did it anyways. For her, there's no looking back. And I'm like, yeah, that's how I am about life. And that's more. So I immediately connected with her. And I tend to very immediately connect with people like that because they're exceptional. Like I talk with a bunch of people. I know like normal people, how they think. And then when I meet somebody who's not like that, I'm like, okay, I like this. Like, even if we don't agree on everything, like you're on a certain wavelength of like, okay, your mind is working. The juices are flowing. You're like doing something interesting or thinking.
Understood. Yeah. I'm really glad that you brought that up throughout our conversation today. It was really interesting to hear that.
Oh, on that note, you want to talk about everything 2020 that we put off. Let's just get it out there now. Like what, I know you talked about it already a little bit. Like it sounds like you adapted pretty well to it.
Yeah. I mean, it was
a really tough, what you could.
It was a tough time. I was like exhausted every single day. I didn't have purpose. I was like, this is my first real year in business. I don't have any work. Like I have all these bills. Like my studio here is like having a separate apartment. So I'm paying the mortgage for my condo where I live. I'm paying for this like 1,000 square foot space that I have. I had to go on unemployment. So the meditation, like I said, came into my life at that point and all of a sudden started like opening up doors for me. And I was also taking a mentorship like program online. It was funny. It was like during that time I was listening to a podcast called Don't Keep Your Day Job. It has since changed the name since that, but it was a woman who was doing courses on kind of like starting your own business and following your passion and making money off of it. And so I was in her course right as the pandemic hit. And she was giving us all of these different assignments to do to like cultivate community and to bring people into to develop a following for your business to be successful. And one of the assignments was here's a few of them. I mean, it was like one of them was to start going live and just like being present with other people and sharing your story live. Right. And
I've never done that. I've never done the live streaming thing.
That's another thing that algorithm really likes on like Instagram and Facebook, whatever. It prioritizes your content. YouTube too prioritizes your content if you go live. So I started going live I started going live twice a week because of her like assignment. Like she tasked it and I was like, let me try this. And so I did it twice a week, Wednesday and Saturday night, doing our live stream show from my studio. So it also gave me something to do during that time and something to focus on while I had no work coming in. And
So let me ask you, like, how do you just start? You do like, did you plan out a live stream, or do you just hit record and nobody's there and you just start talking, or how does that?
I think I was using Facebook a little bit more back then. And so I think I just announced it to people on Facebook. And we had a couple of friends that I was like watching movies with on like through Zoom like once a week. And so they, we just like personally told friends like, hey, we're doing this thing. I invited them and said, we're looking for a way to, connect during the pandemic. Why don't you join us on Wednesday at, 8:00? And I'll just sit in front of a mic, just like what we're doing right now. I'll share how I was feeling, like vulnerable, like I didn't write it. I didn't script it. It was really just like coming from my heart. It was like a lesson in being, being me, I guess.
Okay. So at the time, it really wasn't about content, or you're not presenting anything. It's more about like it's a mutual support group at that time, right?
I started for the first 10 minutes of the live stream. I would talk to the audience about what was going on in life that day. And then I would do a performance with music and visuals. So in my studio, I have like 3 projectors set up that kind of outfit like almost like a 360-degree space here. And it looks really amazing on camera. And so I would curate a playlist on Spotify with stuff like uplifting music, like instrumental electronic music that I was really, was lifting my mood that day. And I would put that playlist together and just like play it for the audience. And I would do live spontaneous, like live editing, live visuals for that audience. And then I would, again, like wrap up at the end and say like, I feel so much better. Thanks for being here. Like, do you have any questions? And like, we just like had an ongoing dialogue and people stayed for the full hour. And we did that twice a week. I did that with my fiance who was doing the live editing with me. Like he did, what was that software? OBS software. You ever use OBS, right?
I've heard of it. I think I might have installed it 15 years ago and forgot about it. But yeah, I know what it is.
During the pandemic, it was pretty great. And so we had like 2 or 3 different cameras set up. And so we were really learning how to do like live editing on the fly during that performance. So it like became a whole production and it gave us like a creative outlet, during a time when we had nothing.
Yeah.
And people like really relied on it. They all like at the end of the like after like I did 100 shows, like they all made me a video thanking me for doing it.
Wow.
And for like bringing light during like a dark time. And so it was like really meaningful that I did it. But like after I was burnt out after 100 shows.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And I was like hating on my art at the time. I was like, I'm sick of everything I've made. I haven't made anything new. And it's hard to have that weekly deadline.
Yeah.
And so I just stopped it. And people are like, where's your live stream show? So it's still on YouTube. If you want to go back, it did get
okay. So it's on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, and not all of them. Like some of them are blocked because I was using licensed music from
Copyrighted
Spotify.
Music. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I have to work with. So that's what I worked with. But the show, like the majority of the shows are still there, and it's kind of fun to just like put on and relive. But it was like reliving a time when we were also like, what's going to happen? I'm afraid to leave my house and haven't seen my mom. And like, I don't know, just like, it was like a sad time.
Yeah.
And you really feel the energy going back and watching that. But yeah, at that time, you know what it's like? We were talking about perfectionism.
Yeah.
I let all perfectionism go during the pandemic. And I think it's because everybody else was also putting content out at the time. And it was really just like everybody in their pajamas at home.
Yeah.
It lowered the bar to a point where I let myself do that. And so I actually posted a daily video on Facebook at that time. And it was just like a minute long of like, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on. And I have a live stream show later. Join us on YouTube, So I did as much as I could during that time just to stay busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
It was a lot of fun. It started in my living room, and then it moved back into my studio when it was like safe to come back here. So the first like 30 shows were like called the Living Room Lounge. And it was just like me behind a desk, like with some crappy like screened window behind me, but a projector on it. And I'm like just drinking a glass of wine, you know, by candlelight, and saying like, "You guys, it's so crazy outside, isn't it? Like, I finally went out to buy groceries today. You know, like here's some music, you know." And it was just to
Crazy
uplift
times.
spirits.
Yeah. No, that's like, I definitely feel like I'm a different person now afterward. And it's
Yeah,
like
for
better
sure.
or worse, maybe better in some ways, worse in some other ways. But I feel, I don't have the right words for it, but I feel like stronger is one, like more
Resilient, maybe.
resilient. Like I wouldn't let it phase me as much this time around. Like I feel like I got caught up way too much in the news and the politics and the like all of this stuff. I mean, there was so much else happening that year too, like BLM and all this other stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's just emotions running high, and everybody was at each other's throat, and everybody was fighting and disagreeing about every little thing. And I'm just like, I got swept up in that wave on Facebook mostly, like just arguing with friends, and they're unfriending me, I'm unfriending them. It's just like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
now that's sort of like, I have a t-shirt I made that it sums it up for me. It's like changing hearts and minds since never. And it's very
Okay.
jaded and nihilistic
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever.
super jaded.
It's very black pilled, but like that's how I feel. And in a way, that was my lesson coming out of it. It's like, look, for all the arguments and whatever, like I don't think I really convinced anybody of anything.
And maybe it's not your job to convince them, though.
Sure. And now I'm kind of like, look, I'll do my own research for my own family, for myself, and that's it. And I'm not out to save the world. I'm not out to enlighten people with information and things that I find medically or this or that. So I'm like, so I'm kind of like, to each their own. But this is a whole philosophy shift of like letting go. It's a form of letting go. And I'm just kind of like, all right, y'all go do that. Like, if I would have known Nicole like a little bit more at that point, and I was closer with her, and she said she's going to Mexico, I would have been like, okay, what are the logistics? I'm coming with you. Like, let's go to Mexico. Like I would have, but I just didn't know her that well yet at that point. But like,
wasn't meant to be at the time.
But again, like I also was a different person then. Now, if I had that opportunity, I would jump on it if that situation arises again. But this is where I mean, where I'm like, I'm just like I don't even care if I die. Like to me, it's like life and death. Like we're all going to die anyways. This, again, it's like I'm older now too. So I'm like, we're all going to die. So I don't care about that anymore. What I care about is how I live, you know? So a quality life while I'm alive, while I'm young, what's left of my youth or whatever, you know, but I don't want to just be cooped up waiting until they let me go live my life in an acceptable way. I'm like, I'm not that mentality, but I'm yeah, you know, the government, the politicians, the lawmakers or whatever. Cause I'm like,
I mean, you have permission to go right now.
Well, now, but like,
now,
like
right,
in 2020,
now.
I literally couldn't do anything. Like
Understood.
Me working out at the gym is like a big part of my life. That's pretty much the only thing I have here in Philly consistently since I moved. And like they shut the gyms down for like 5 months. So I'm like, okay.
But yeah, my gym never reopened, so I haven't gone back. I don't have a place anymore. Right? That stuff happened, you know, and you move on, you find new places, you sign up to go to conferences, you offer to speak, you know. I think it's about being proactive and just like taking a chance, you know.
Right. And I think that was part of the shift for me, is like I was clinging to the world the way it was before. And then like because you know how, I don't even know you know this, I used to do like a theme for every year.
So I didn't know that.
Yeah. So this was all during the 2010s. So like instead of doing a New Year's resolution, I would make a theme for the whole year.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I think what ended up being was 2021 was me letting go. 2022 was me moving on, like moving forward. And I think that. Not that it was a theme proactively, but retroactively, 2020, my theme was I was hanging on. That's what it was. So I was clinging to what was before 2020, the relationships, the way of life. Like I was clinging to that. And that's what made 2020 so hard, is because I was trying to just cling on to what life was that was no more.
Right. Understood.
And then in 2021, I just gave up on all that and I just let go. And it was a process of the whole year, just letting go of people, letting go of trying to convince anybody of anything, letting go of like, so but then it was like, that was a process. And then 2022 is me moving forward. And that led into 2023, which is basically we're coming out of 2023 and led the framework for this year, which is just like, I got back to my roots.
Felt good this year, right?
I'm a creative person. Let me just focus on what I love, what I do well. And like, that's it. Like my whole focus is just being creative and productive. And that's what I'm doing now. And I'm like, this is the way forward for me. So I just prevent myself from going off, getting pulled on these other tangents. And, you know, I still argue with people over here. I have people, I'm part of this libertarian group here in Philly. That's the one social thing I do every month, like regularly. I go to libertarians groups and we all see pretty much eye to eye politically on stuff. So it's like, so, you know, I don't need that all the time, but like once a month, just go, you know, we all agree with each other and it's cool. And like, okay, back to my life, you know, like they're not
back to the introverted cave.
Well, more so like they're not into AI and creative stuff and design and art and video, all the stuff that I'm into.
So what about like creative conferences? Are you not going to stuff out there that's like...
No, I want to start doing that.
Start looking for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of me, it's like a weird ego thing too, though, because part of it is like I'm building my brand and my name and my business.
So are you waiting to be done before you go out and introduce yourself?
Sort of. Like I just don't want to I don't want to show up to these events and just be like a nobody. And like it's in my head. I know it's in my head.
That is totally in your head. I
know.
I'm going to assign that to you that you next week find a place to go.
No.
And just show up. Do it.
No, I have the assignment from you already, which is to live stream. That's my next assignment.
All right. Start.
I'm really curious I'm thinking about it already to live stream, but I'm like, I don't know what I would just do. Like I hit record and I'm like, hey, everybody.
Why don't you tell them about what you're building, these plans, and just say that you wanted to share them, you know, the plans of your YouTube channel, what the focus is, what you shared with me today. You just did that. And this whole conversation could have been a live stream. We can actually do that. You and I can do this again if you're interested.
And try it as a live stream?
We can try it as a live stream and we can set it as like a, you know, half hour, 20-minute conversation or something like that, like make it shorter and condensed. But let's just go on live and, you know, I can do it for your channel. You can do it for my channel or whatever. And we'll just throw spaghetti at the wall.
All right. I love it. I like the sound of that. Let's do that.
All right. Actually, and listen, I am going to I was just going to say, I'm going to have to wrap it up here because I got to get out of my studio. But
Sure.
This has been so much fun.
I was going to mention earlier that Riverside actually has a live streaming capability.
Perfect.
And I saw a couple of tutorials on it. I think it's like a $10 extra and I didn't sign up for it, but it is there as a feature where you can live stream and it's cool because you can live stream on multiple platforms. And
simultaneously.
And if anybody chats on Instagram or YouTube, it'll show up in one consolidated feed.
Oh, I love that. That's worth $10.
Yeah. I saw the demo and I was like, at the time I was like, oh, live streaming, I don't do that. But now that we're talking about this, I'm like,
dude, you're missing all the engagement. That's how you get it. People love live because you're present with them. Yeah. You're not pre-recorded. You're not scripted. You're real, you know?
Yeah. No, this is good points.
Okay, great.
All right. There's our bonus content. All right. It's good stuff. I think
Look, we will talk again. Look, I'm going to have you on my podcast and we will continue all the conversations that we did not have. We will have next time.